Welcome to this episode of Ryan Out Loud, and we all know it's tax season here in Canada, so we brought in a specialist from Tax Force, and we have Kate Lawrence with us, who is a CPA there, and it's going to give us some information, some best practices. So, Caitlin, welcome.
Thanks, Sean.
And I guess it's tax season.
It sure is.
So, I think everyone has a mad rush of tax season to get ready, get all their stuff to gear. So, maybe we'll start off with what should people be doing right now to get ready for tax season?
Right now, I think the most important thing is just collecting all your slips, getting your donation slips together, your medical slips. There's a bunch of new credits this year. The staycation credit is a big one. If you've stayed in hotels, motels, gone camping, you can claim some of that back this year.
Is that only in Ontario, though, you had to stay, right?
It is, and there's a stipulation that the place you stayed at has to have collected HST.
Most do, I guess.
Well, what that means is you can't rent a cottage from a family friend and then claim that as a staycation credit.
Gotcha. Okay. And so what are some of the forms people should be collecting right now?
So T4s if you're an employee.
Yeah.
If you have investments, you might be looking at T3s, T4s. Now the T4s and T5s aren't due till the end of this month, February 28th.
Okay.
T3s, I believe, have a little bit of a longer deadline, maybe in March. But most of the things should be arriving between now and, mid-March. Mail is a little bit slower right now, but you can also access almost everything online these days.
And when's the deadline to file taxes for a person?
So if you are an employee, it's April 30th.
Okay.
If you have a business, it's June 15th. Now, important to note, if your spouse has a business, then your deadline is also June 15th. But your deadline to pay is still April 30th.
So if you owe money, make sure you got it in or at least paid, because you don't want the interest from the government's not good.
Yeah, no, it's not.
And you don't want them calling you, the real government, not the fake people calling you.
Yeah.
So what are some best practices? Because I think everywhere, most people at the end of the year when it comes to tax season, they run around all flustered, they're unorganized. What are some practices people could put in this year so they're better prepared for next year?
Probably put together a list of things you might expect. If you have employment income, just make a list of maybe T4s from these places. If you have investments, reach out to your investor and ask where you might expect slips from. A lot of the times, like if you are with an investment firm, you get a lot of little slips. So they have a list, you can ask them. And then just keep track of where you make donations to. What we do see commonly with donations is sometimes they'll send you an annual contribution summary, and then sometimes it's just a one slip in the middle of the year. So if you do get that one slip, just stick it in a file for taxes 2023, and then you have it ready for next year.
So do you guys, as a professional accounting firm like you are, do you guys create a checklist for people ever? So you have clients that come in every year, they have the similar stuff. So you're like, hey, you did this last year. Is any of this the same?
So what we actually use is a software called Tax Dome.
Okay.
And this is an online portal where our clients can go and upload their information. And every year we send an organizer out. So it's a long checklist, and it uses conditional logic. So if you say, yes, I have donations, it prompts a little box to upload your donations.
Where? Oh, that's kind of neat. So it's like an online portal they share with you?
Yeah, and then we can share our documents with them on there as well.
What's the worst thing people do at tax time?
Wait till the last week of April and then drop all their stuff up.
In a shoebox.
Yeah.
Yeah, that used to be me. Just so you know. I could see my accountants like, oh God, Sean's here. No, but what is like the thing besides waiting the last minute? Like what's the biggest mistake or the biggest misunderstanding people have about taxes?
This is kind of a funny one. I think that people think we know what their refunds are right off the bat.
Yeah.
I had somebody call me and actually ask what their refund is based on one item that they have. And it's like, we don't actually know that. The tax software has to calculate that for us, and it's based on everyone's individual situation. And it can change year over year. So that's a common, misconception. And, you might see, oh, I paid this much income tax, so what's my refund going to be? I don't know.
So many variables. So before we end here really quick, I know you touched on the Ontario staycation tax. What are the top 3 new ones that are this year? That if you have 3, or even the last 2 years, that people should be looking for this year to make sure they're getting included?
Well, a new-ish one, and it's been around for the last few years, it's the digital subscription tax credit. So there's certain digital subscribers that you can get a tax credit for subscribing to their content. So I think they're supposed to provide you with a slip, and then you give that to us.
Is it only Canadian content?
I believe so, and there's
Okay.
actually a list on CRA that
Interesting.
more get added to it every year, that they actually have to apply for it. So that's a newish one. Not a tax credit, but one that's been in place for the last few years is that working from home due to COVID, the $2 per day. So, you know, as an employee, sometimes you do have to pay for things out of pocket
Yeah.
that you use at work. Normally, you have to get this long form filled out. With this one, it's just a simple, like, just claim $2 per day. You don't have to keep track of expenses. And then there's actually a couple of home accessibility credits that are available. Now, those are mostly to seniors or people that qualify for the disability tax credit certificate. So you can claim expenses to improve your home to make them more accessible.
Or if I was having a parent live with
Yeah.
me, or I can get the tax credit as well.
Yeah, so as long as like you're the caregiver for them. And some of these credits actually double dip, so you can claim the home accessibility tax credit and then claim some of them as medical expenses as well.
Perfect. That's absolutely fantastic. So it's tax season now. You guys are into your busiest thing right now. And you guys do personal, business. What else do you guys do?
We do corporate,
Corporate.
we do bookkeeping,
Okay.
and we run payroll, and right now preparing all those T4, T5 slips as well.
That's fantastic. Where can people find you?
So we're on the taxforce.ca.
Yeah.
We have Facebook, Instagram, and then
You guys are around the corner of George and Christina, the old Royal Bank building, right?
that's right. There's one more thing that I do want to add that's special for this year is the CRA is actually talking of going on strike for April, and it's a high probability that they will be.
Yeah.
So that's another reason to just jump on the urgency train and get your taxes filed sooner rather than later.
That's another episode of Ryan Out Loud. And like Caitlin said, it's tax season, so get things ready because no one likes a last minute filer, and it's going to cost you money if you do.